few days ago, I went on a day trip to see the big tree. Today, I'm going on a little bit of a shorter day trip out into the countryside around Mae Sot. And the goal is to see not the big tree, but the blue cave. There's my shadow, and as you can see, I'm out in the countryside now. Come about 25 kilometers outside of Mae Sot, perhaps. And I just turned off the main road onto a smaller country road, and I came across a sign for where I think I'm going. On Google Maps, it's called the Blue Cave. And here the sign says Sifa Cave. Oh, I'm not really awake this morning, I have to say. I don't think I got enough sleep last night for some reason. So my brain isn't exactly ticking over at full speed. But we'll see how this little trip to the Blue Cave goes. As I said, it isn't going to be a big trip or anything. The cave is not a spectacular attraction. Most people around here haven't even heard of it when I mentioned it to them. But I thought it would be an interesting destination, an excuse to hop on the scooter and go for a little trip this morning. So, let's get back on the scooter and keep going. Oh, I can't tell you what a relief it is to get off that busy road. I guess when you're driving in a car or sitting in a bus, you don't really notice how loud highways are. You wouldn't think of it, but car tires just turning on pavement, just the friction of car tires on pavement makes a roaring sound. But of course, when you're riding a scooter, you hear all of that sound. And I stop at the side of the road quite often to check Google Maps and just sort of look around me and fiddle around with the GoPro a little bit. And every time you pull over to the side of the road, you're just overwhelmed with the roar of traffic. It really can get quite, as I said, overwhelming. Oh, now that I'm back on a country road, I can go nice and slowly. My original plan was to come all the way here down these small country roads. I had a route all plotted out in advance, but at the last minute I decided to come on a more direct route because I think the roads that I planned on taking were not really roads, and I think I just would have ended up in a whole bunch of dead ends and unable to go further on those country roads. And I think my decision to come here down the main road was probably a wise one, not just because these small roads are probably a lot of dead ends or not even roads at all. They probably just turn into trails. But there's also a fair amount of pretty steep hills back here. And I think these smaller country roads would have been extremely rough and steep. So it's a little bit better to take a more direct route, I think. It's really nice here. Very hilly. And today is my first trial run using my new mounting system for the 2 GoPros. And so far, I am absolutely ecstatic about it. I couldn't be happier with how things are working out. I bought 2 new mounting systems. I did a whole unboxing video about them. One of them is a tripod ball head, my Ulanzi U60 ball head, and I have it on one of the GoPros here. Works really, really well. So much better than what I was using before. And then I have the second GoPro on the RAM mount GoPro system, and that's also working out exceptionally well. The combination of the two is just about perfect. I really like it. Oh, steep road, man. Spin the GoPro around. Just take a look at that scenery off to the side. It's a beautiful farming setting. Seen a number of these farmers zooming around on these real workhorse motorcycles. And over here on the other side of the road, you get a lot of fields that are recently plowed. Really rich looking brown soil. And there's the road ahead of me. And there's my other GoPro on its RAM mount facing ahead of me. And the one that I'm filming with right now, I can spin it around on my Ulanzi ball head and do all kinds of fancy things with it. Look at that setting as well. Farmhouse sitting right in the middle of, I assume this is cornfields. I have a lot of admiration for farmers. Has to be very hard work. But if they didn't do that work, none of us would have anything to eat, would we? Just as I was leaving the Mae Sot city limits, is that I didn't bring my passport with me. I forgot to pack it, so I wasn't thinking that I was going very far, so I didn't think I would need it. But then I wondered if I would run into a bunch of checkpoints heading south out of Mae Sot. Luckily I didn't, so I didn't actually need my passport, but I really should have brought it with me on this trip. Rubber trees off on the right there. Look at that. Much more beautiful countryside here than I expected. And I just passed a sign that wanted me to turn right to go to the cave, but I didn't see an actual road. There was kind of a trail there, but the trail was blocked with a gate. But anyway, I'm going to do a map check, try and figure out where I am. Well, according to my map check, I am on the right road. I just have to continue going straight, and Blue Cave is just a couple of kilometers up ahead. The great thing about this cave is that it's right on the road. You don't have to leave the road at all. There's no hiking to be done at the end or anything like that. You can drive straight there. And the other great thing is turning out to be just the countryside. Really nice out here. think we've arrived. There's my welcoming committee. So I've arrived at the Blue Cave. Here it is behind me. I just parked my scooter over there in the shade. And the first thing I noticed when I showed up here is on the walls of the rocks here. From a distance, I thought those were all mushrooms. But I think they're actually beehives, like honeycombs from beehives. Just gonna walk up, take a closer look. I'm pretty sure that's what they are. But I don't see any bees flying around. Whenever I arrive at a place like this, it always seems to follow the similar kind of pattern because, I don't know, I always like to walk around a place and really take my time and approach it gradually, kind of go around it in circles before I actually go inside. But if there's someone here kind of wanting to greet me, and there were two monks here, who came up to me as soon as I arrived, and they were very eager for me to see the place and appreciate it. So they were sort of kind of urging me and pushing me towards like going right inside the cave right away. And then I just confuse them because I stay out here for so long, just looking around and taking in the atmosphere. And I just noticed some stairs going off towards the left there behind me. And I'm going to go up those stairs first to see where they lead before I go into the cave itself. This is my reconnaissance few minutes as I walk around. There's a large Buddha image right here at the front. Let's see if these stairs go anywhere interesting. Here's some machinery running up there. I imagine that is just a generator. Or it could be something for grinding corn. No, I'm pretty sure that's a generator for this place. The trail that I followed here didn't go up very far. I'm just heading back down again, and I think it's time to head inside the interior of the cave. Here's the main entrance to the cave. I was wondering when we would start to see some of the blue color. And here you can see the walls are kind of a grayish blue. Looks more gray to me than blue, but if you convince yourself that that's blue, you could think that it's blue. I have no idea how deep the cave goes. I don't think it goes in very far. Some really interesting rock formations up above me. Wow, look at that. That's a interesting placement for such a large tree. Just right there at the entrance. That is really cool because the main rock of the cliff is the one color, the grayish blue, but then the minerals that drip through with the water to form all the stalagmites and stalactites are a completely different color. They have that brownish color. So they really stand out as a separate part of the rock formation. Oh, it looks like the rock behind the Buddha image here to the right has been carved. An eye has been carved onto it to make it look like an elephant. And it really does look like an elephant. I wonder if that's completely natural or whether they shaped it that way. Very bright and colorful carpets there for kneeling down. Google Maps listing, you can see quite a few photographs that people have taken of themselves inside the cave with the blue walls. And it feels like if they set up lights or something like that, then they might get some really nice images. But I'm not quite sure where they took those pictures. They seemed to have gone deeper into the cave than this area. I don't know if there's another section or not. Yeah, probably not. I think this is the extent of the cave system. And I brought along a flashlight on this trip, but I don't think I'll actually need it. Hey there. But since I brought along my little flashlight, there it is there. Thought I'd break it out and see if it helps me see things a bit more clearly. Yeah, actually it kind of lights up the ceiling of the cave above me. These are all interesting formations, almost like mushrooms or something you would see in the sea, jellyfish structures. That is a really beautiful structure there. Actually, it'd be nice if this whole area was lit up with some lighting. I was wondering if there were any bats, and there they are up there. Just, yeah, at the highest point there, you can see a whole bunch of bats. They look to be very small ones, maybe baby bats, and a couple of adults flying around. Yeah, there's a bat. There's another interesting formation. And again, this thing looks like a huge jellyfish. Take a look through here. Oh, okay. Thank you. So he just showed me the interior. So this is where I think I saw a lot of the people taking pictures. The cave does continue behind the Buddha statue. Wow, it's really beautiful. An interesting part about this deeper cave is that there's actually quite a few bats hanging from the ceiling, and they end up quite close to your head as you walk around. They're just a foot or two above your head if you're tall. You can see 3 of them in the archway there ahead of me. I was walking along, and just when I got to that point, all 3 of them kind of took off and flew by my head. And one was left still standing, still hanging right above my head. So I got a really good look at him, but I didn't get any video of the little fellow. But we'll see how close I can get without disturbing them. There's 3 of them right there. Whoa, there he goes, one of them. Amazing that they can hang from the ceiling like that. Like, what are they holding on to? Hey, little guy. Whoop. No. They look so small when you see just their body, but then when they fly away, their wingspan is much larger than you'd think. So they seem like they're quite larger than they really are. Now I wish I had a more powerful light or a camera that was better in low light. But I think you can get a bit of an idea of what this place looks like. Yeah, it's not a large cave, but it is quite an attractive one. The tunnel goes on. Oh. If I'd kept going right there was a bat right on the ceiling there. I would have hit him with my face. But I think they would fly away before that happened. Just want to take a quick look around the corner here. Oh, there's a mask down there. As if someone went in there and then never came back. It's a very narrow passageway, so I don't think I'm going to try to make my way along it. You'd have to go in on your hands and knees. And the ceiling is getting pretty low over here as well. Really have to bend down. It's amazing. I haven't hit my head on the ceiling yet. I keep waiting to give my head a good crack on the rocks. Oh, man, it goes quite a bit farther than I thought. Yeah, the cave continues in that direction. That's where I just came from. A little alcove over here. Huh. Very cool. Some kind of a warning sign here. I'll have to Google translate that later. Whoa. I don't think I need to translate that. That just means be very careful. Whoa. That is a serious drop-off. Yeah. And hopefully this cement sidewalk is nice and sturdy. Man, this cave is much bigger than I expected. Look at that. Just looking ahead of me. From what I read online, people were constantly saying, oh, the cave isn't that big. It's only so many meters deep, so don't expect very much, that kind of thing. But I'm very impressed with this place. It's much bigger and more complicated than I expected. And there's that pit again. Look at that. Maybe GoPro doesn't capture it, but that is a long ways down with a very sudden edge here. So with this sign, they are not messing around. I wonder how dark it would be in here if all the lights went out, like if the generator ran out of gas or something. Yeah, it could be very dark in here, and then that hole could be quite dangerous. So I'm very glad I have my flashlight now. I was just saying at the very beginning that I brought my flashlight and I don't really need it, and actually it turns out it's very helpful, and it could even be necessary even for this small cave. Look at that, it just goes on. This is me inside the cave. I've had the camera pointed away from me this entire time, but it really is me. Here I am. Oh, but I can't really walk forward while looking at the camera. There's got some steps to deal with here. Of course, I took my sandals off to go into the temple, and my poor feet are taking a bit of a beating on these rocks inside the cave. Ow, 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 ow. I don't have the tough feet that I had when I was a kid. I went barefoot all the time, but these days I don't think I can go barefoot very much. Nice. That is really beautiful. I was wondering whether the cave would eventually come out the other side and you do a loop, but it looks like, oh, it goes even further up here. But I think this would be the very end of the cave right here. One thing is this cave seems to be very dry. I don't hear any water. I don't see anything dripping. Of course, it is, the dry season here as well. But the dryness, perhaps that's why I don't see any insects. I was wondering whether there'd be a lot of creepy crawlies in here, because I've seen a lot of creepy crawlies in different caves, but this one doesn't seem to have any. None that I've seen anyway. Just the bats are the only things that seem to live in here. So that is the end of the cave. Well, it's time to head out of the cave, I think. Head back to the surface. I still don't see a lot of blue color, but I guess my flashlight maybe isn't powerful enough to bring out the blue. Or maybe it's just my eyes, but I do see gray for the most part. As I said, I can almost convince myself it's a bluish, gray. I keep losing my balance in here, which is strange. But the the steps, they are tilted backwards, so They aren't, the easiest steps to navigate. What a great passageway. That view up above is very cool. Yeah. You got to be a little bit on the slim side to make it through here. Coming up on the pit once again. Oh, that is crazy looking down there. I wonder if they ever had a kind of a rope ladder or something like that ever going down there. Oh, I said that the cave was really dry, but this is one spot where there's a little bit of moisture coming from somewhere up there. And you can hear water dripping down there a little bit. See, it does look wet down there. I've reached one of the low sections where I have to crouch down a little bit and try not to hit my head. I can stand up straight again. Feels good. Haven't seen any of my bats for a while. I don't know where they are. Guess they're closer to the entrance up ahead of me. Coming up on another low section. I think this is the lowest portion of all. Yeah, it's amazing how smooth the surface is. It actually feels like granite, sort of it's a dusty granite feeling. I feel my knapsack scraping against the roof, but luckily I haven't hit my head yet. Oh. Almost back at the entrance where the Buddha statue and the elephant carving is. It's funny how even a brief amount of time inside a cave like this starts to feel a little bit spooky. Caves are just spooky in general, I guess. But while I've been in here, I would occasionally see a Buddha image, like this one over here on the left. And I spotted this one out of the corner of my eye, and I kind of jumped because I wasn't expecting anybody to be there. That's the most interesting thing about this cave system for me, is the difference between the main rock and then the mineral that gets deposited from water flowing down. And again, not to get too geologically goofy, but just to think about the amount of time that has to pass for one of these stalagmite or stalactite formations to grow, just kind of kind of boggles the mind. Sure glad I brought the flashlight, that's for sure. Oh, back at the main entrance to the cave. And there's the reclining Buddha and the elephant. I really have to wonder whether that is just a happy accident. It looks so much like an elephant. The head and the ears. Of course, the eye was carved, but I wonder about the rest of it. Was it shaped to look like an elephant? There we are, back in the main entrance. Oh yeah. Well, I'm back at the main entrance to the cave and the shrine. That was very interesting. I enjoyed that very much. It's one of those cases where I came here with fairly low expectations, and this place far exceeded my expectations. Again, it's not a huge cave system compared to cave systems around the world, I'm sure, but it's a lot more extensive than I expected on my way up here. And it just has a lot of really beautiful rock formations everywhere. When I came out, the monk who originally greeted me was reminding me of where I left my sandals. Yes, here they are over here. Oh, and there's that tree at the entrance, just from the other side. Couldn't ask for a more dramatic setting for a tree, especially one of that size. Still very curious about all these honeycombs. You'd think with that many honeycombs you would see at least the occasional bee flying around, but maybe this is just the wrong time of year. Colonies aren't active right now. This is the field directly across from the cave. And I've seen a whole bunch of fields like this with the exact same tree planted. It's clearly some kind of a crop, but I have no idea what it is. Yeah, you can see everything. Oh, they're all planted in rows, so it is part of a field that's been planted. But I don't know what kind of a plant it is. And for my visit to be complete, it would be nice if there was a small coffee shop here. But there's nothing like that I can see. I'm not sure if they have any electricity here at all other than what they're getting from their own generator. Yeah, that really struck me when I was in there, how we're quite dependent on that generator for lights inside the cave. So if you were in there without a flashlight and that generator just happened at that moment to run out of gas, you'd be, I mean, you could still see, your eyes would adjust. There's enough places, I think, where light would come in. But for the first minute or so, it'd be quite startling to suddenly be in pitch black. Just have to make sure you avoid that deep pit. I think that is the end of my visit to the Blue Cave here in the Mae Sot countryside. I'm going to hop on my scooter and drive back into the city in search of a cup of coffee. But I think I'll end the video here for the most part. I think I'm going to try to go back through some of the country roads, and I'll have the camera running as I drive down the roads just to get kind of a time lapse of that journey through the countryside. But that's all I'll do. I'll put that, if I do get an interesting time lapse, I'll stick that at the end of the video. But in terms of me talking to you, I think that is going to be the end of today's small adventures, and I will see you in the next one.